We've been working on data, it seems like, since day one. I've been in the industry since 2005. Data has always been messy. Home builders have always been struggling, trying to make sense of it, trying to get the right information to the right person. And so really, as an ERP provider, what we've been doing is taking a lot of that data, helping builders make sense of it, and getting it to the people that need it to make appropriate business decisions. So going way back from a strategy perspective, we want to make the data available to people who need it. We've invested a lot over the years in better reporting, easier to use data systems and data entry, easier ways of getting the data out of the systems. And in the past few years, we've really taken a step forward in building out a platform that helps builders standardize and clean the data and really make it available, whether it's through our products, whether it's using other products like Power BI or Microsoft Excel. And now in the world of AI, it's just unlocked a whole new set of functionality, a whole set of technologies that we can use to bring that even further. So from a strategy perspective, as if I was running a home building business, I would want the right information to the right people at the right time, and definitely providing those people that are curious about the business and how to make it better with the information that they need. So now with our AI products, you don't need to have a report that will tell you what you should be looking at. You can literally just ask questions and it'll give you information. So for a curious user, you can take that information and just start drilling down and asking questions of other parts of the business. And it's been really neat. Like, we've been at this for many years. We started our data services group, probably 4 or 5 years ago, with an effort to standardize and clean up that data. And now it's like with AI, the light bulb just went off. People are like, oh, wow, that's why we need to clean up the data. That's why we need to get it to the right people. That's why we need to rely on a customer like a partner like Constellation to make sense of it and to make it easier. So from our perspective, we're going to figure out all the technology and we're going to provide value, to our customers. So they don't need to think about all the details. We're just going to help them answer the questions that they need to answer. Yeah, so it's not an experiment for us. Like I mentioned, we've built a platform. We've been at it for many years. And even at our most recent Build Smarter conference, that's where it seemed like the light bulb went off. From our perspective, we always work very closely with our customers. We spend a lot of time, gathering requirements and trying to help them solve business problems, how they can be more efficient, how they can make fewer mistakes. And so when we build these things, we build a platform and then we work with our builders to provide the value that they need. So whether it's a purchasing person that needs to answer a question about job cost and maybe how they compare to benchmarks in their area, or whether it's a salesperson who's trying to figure out which options and upgrades to sell, how to maximize the margins on their homes. Whether it's an executive who kind of wants to see what's happening in the sales center and in construction. We've just got the ability now to bring all this data together, and not in the sense that it has to be sort of pre-thought out of what information needs to be delivered, but in the sense that you just need to ask a question now. Yeah, I think what will end up happening is you'll get more alerts. You'll be told when things are happening. Further down the road, the system will do things for you. We expect to have a person in the middle right now who is approving any actions or any decisions that would be made. But ultimately, you'll have a lot more timely information. You'll know when things are happening without actually having to maybe anticipate them happening ahead of time. You can just ask a question or you'll get an alert and it'll point you in the right direction. And we've seen that already working with our customers. So, from my perspective, that's the type of stuff that we're doing in our business. We're a software provider, but we can still leverage AI to look at patterns and things that we can do to improve our business. So in the sense that we're a technology company, many builders are also technology companies. We like them to be more tech forward in many cases. But we want people to have access to the information, the technologies that they need, to do their job and to make good decisions. So it's really about more timeliness and supporting that curious worker. Yeah, so we've been working with our builders to analyze their data, to clean up their data for many years. That was a big part of BuilderMetrix. So we bring that data, we can then report back to builders from an operational perspective, different aspects of their business. But not only can we report on their data, we can also compare it to industry benchmarks so that they know if they're paying more for one particular direct cost than what would be sort of the average or the standard in their markets. So that was sort of the initial step. Going forward, we see bringing that to a different level. We'll build out the data set further. We'll provide more metrics for comparison. And ultimately, we think that builders have an opportunity to be more efficient with access to a broader set of information and more timely information. In terms of a home builder, right? A home builder that has a good partner like Constellation, right? Who's going to think about all these things, who they can trust with their data. I think that's going to go a long way. Like anyone can just kind of take, a technology off the shelf and, use it as a hammer looking for nails or, whatever analogy you would like. But we're going to help provide real value, and we're going to think about the hard things so that, our customers don't have to do everything, on their own, right? We can help provide it as a platform. And we're very engaged with our customers. So we're going to listen to them. We're going to, uncover, scenarios. We're going to validate those scenarios with them. They're going to tell us what they want. We've been doing that for 20 years, and it's just, it's the best way to run a business, right? You want to know what your customers want. You want to be able to do things that, change their business, that make them more effective. And, we take a lot of pride in being a partner. So from a home builder, being distinguished from their peers, we want our builders to be fierce competitors. We want them to be, very active in their markets. We want them to know what's going on. We want to give them the tools to compete, in their local markets. And I think the best ones are the ones that are going to be paying attention to the data, knowing kind of what's happening in their local markets, and then giving the information to the people on the front lines, the people who need to make decisions, and who work with customers or trades or other external stakeholders to really make a difference in their business. Yeah, we're super excited. We're getting great feedback from our customers, even in the early stages. And we're excited. It's a great time to be in home building software.